ever felt overwhelmed? Have you ended up?
Wait, Bob, I didn't start. Wait, start.
Okay.
Let's start. Okay, we got to start at the same time. Okay, so this is video number 4, building your critical thinking skills. 3, 2, 1.
Hello. This is video number 4.
Wait, stop. So you don't need to say video 4. That's for Roland.
Okay.
And also, so look up at the camera, remember, because Roland's going to slate the video. He'll put video 4, building your critical thinking skills. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Hello. Critical thinking skills are very important for all of us. Most of the time, people do not think about these skills. They don't get up in the morning and say, God, I have to really get my critical skills much more efficient. Critical skills cause us, when they're inefficient, cause us all kinds of difficulties. People often will get lost. They'll fail to plan. They'll feel overwhelmed. They'll have trouble delegating. They will make errors. They will lose things. They will be late for things, on and on. I'm going to give you an example of one of the 14 skills that we deal with that was inefficient for one lady. For over 20 years, it caused her problems. She played a musical instrument beautifully. She was so good, she would sub for the Chicago Symphony, the Lyric Opera. She would play at Ravinia, at Grant Park. But every time she competed for a spot in an orchestra, she was never picked. She ended up probably having 40 to 50 auditions and failed all of them. I admired her because she had never given up. She arrived at my office and she came with her husband. And I happened to ask him, how did you happen to come with your wife? He says, she always gets lost, and I wanted to make sure she got here. I said, well, I think I know what the problem is, but let me test her. And we have an assessment where we assess 14 basic skills, and sure enough, direction and orientation was a weakness of hers. And I said, the problem that you're having is that when you audition, your beat is varying. And even though you play beautifully, they have over 100 people to listen to. And as soon as you show a flaw, out you go. When you play in an orchestra, you have no problem because the conductor is keeping time. And you have no problem then playing your music beautifully. So I'm going to have to give you some exercises if you want to get into an orchestra. They're going to be direction and orientation exercises. And one of them particularly, I'm going to want you to practice an hour a day. And you're going to hate me. You're going to want to kill me because you're going to be so bored. And this exercise is, I want you setting up a metronome with the different possible beats they could have you play to. And I want you tapping for a whole hour to these different beats, doing nothing else. And it's going to be boring. Well, she did that. And about 2 to 3 months later, the next audition, she's in the Lyric Opera Orchestra after 20 years of frustration. And that was just one of these skills that were inefficient. These skills I learned in Australia, and I ended up spending time really getting them down so that I could help people. And I help students do better academically. I help businesses do better in business so that they have greater revenues, fewer problems. I help athletes, and I even have trained the Marines to recognize IEDs before they blow up improve marksmanship and performance. These skills are skills that should be automatic. They should be at the unconscious level and be very effective. If they're not, they get in the way of higher functioning. So somebody who says, I hate math, well, I know that there are going to be certain skills they're going to be inefficient at. If they have trouble taking tests, I know they're going to have trouble with certain skills, and it keeps them from being successful taking tests, even though they know the information. So it affects all areas of life. Wherever we use our brain, if these skills are inefficient, it can cause problems in our life. So it's very simple to improve them. It does take work, though. When we assess these skills, we find out whether they are efficient or not. And then, if they're efficient, we don't have to do a lot of work there. But if they're inefficient, we have all kinds of exercises that will improve the efficiencies of these skills. Besides improving these skills efficiency, we also train the person on how their brain works. So that it's like if you get a computer, you can play with it and figure out how to make it work and hopefully do something with it. But if you get taught how it works, you can use it a lot better. The same thing with our brain. So we have success in many areas because we're helping people use their most important tool, their brain, more effectively. Okay.
That was great. Now, you know what I'd like to add to this, Bob, because we could edit it in. You were starting to do this, and I stopped you the first time because you said video number 4. I believe the first time we did this, you started out by asking questions. And I'd like you to we can do that again, recording just that, because I think it grabs people. And and then the closing statement, and we'll do the closing after that, will be leading them to the last video. So let's start with the first opening questions. Go ahead.
All right. Do you ever find yourself getting lost? Do you ever say, boy, I wish I would have thought of this long after the time to think about it occurred? Do you fail to plan on your time? Do you have trouble delegating? Do you have trouble writing? Do you struggle with math? Do you make errors one after another? Do you have memory difficulties? All of these are signs of inefficient critical thinking skills.
Great. Now I want you to add one more sentence to connect it, because you're not reading off a script. You're speaking from your heart, which is great. I would like you to connect it by saying, we at Critical Thinking Skills, or my business can help you solve those challenges. Go ahead.
We at our business can help you solve these problems relatively easy and effectively.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Now we're going to add a closing to go to the next one. It's normally I have a conversation or I write out a script, so you're kind of doing it from the heart. Sure. But I appreciate your patience. So now we're going to add a closing, which would be, you just told me they could be helped.
Well, I could say I'd like to invite you to view our next video, which is really going to be about how do parents effectively train their children in these critical thinking skills, so we don't have to see them later in life.
Right. So let me I'll do one more time. So whenever you're ready, I'm going to put myself on mute.
Wait.
Go ahead. Roland has something to add.
Be sure that when you get to the last line and you finish your statement, go ahead and completely relax and hold the position and count to 3 or 4 or 5. Don't worry about it, because I'm going to edit it out and cut it shorter, but give us plenty. So You don't
Okay.
break off and say,
Does
okay,
he
how did
need
I
to-
do?
Roland,
Okay.
does he need to do that last sentence again? Was that enough pause time for you?
I think it was fine.
Okay, so yeah, because he's going to edit. Okay, so we're going to do a closing now. Tune in to our next video, which is about just training parents on critical thinking skills and whatever you
Okay.
want to say.
Okay. Tune in to our next video, which will be helping parents know how to train children's critical thinking skills from little on, so that they are efficient in their thinking skills for the rest of their life. Okay.
Good. We're going to do one more. I just want to have one more take on that. However you want. If you don't want to say tune in, but you can, just
Okay.
and good pause. Wait. And so give me a moment to mute myself, and then after you finish,
Okay.
pause. Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Tune in to our next video, which is going to be on how parents can most effectively train their children from little on to develop these critical thinking skills that will serve them the rest of their life.
I like that. That was nice and short and sweet. Always good to have options. Yeah, Roland liked that too. Okay, so we are now into the next time. We're going to have to, it's 1:03 here. So
Okay.
I know you have an appointment.
Yeah, I have to go.
Go ahead. So we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Chicago time, 8 a.m. Pacific.
Okay.
We got a lot
Yeah.
done. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll let you know if she can't change, but I think she'll be able to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.